Hey viewers, George here doing a personal talking bit on this game. Oh, there we go. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. That's weird. Sorry, I was just looking at the slide. This game, obviously, is a sequel to Donkey Kong Country Returns, which was on the Wii, which, of course, was a sequel to the previous Donkey Kong Country games that everyone really loved. And a lot of people really loved Returns as well, including myself. I really love that game. So I was really excited for Tropical Freeze because it's like, cool, another Donkey Kong game. It's going to be on the Wii U. You get to have Cranky Kong in it. You get Dixie Kong, Diddy Kong's, of course, there. Donkey Kong, of course. It'll be so cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so I play it for a bit, and it definitely holds up to being a Donkey Kong Country game in a lot of aspects. Having its difficulty being very present in some places. I know that, you know, a few of the first two levels I was able to breeze through no problem. It was when I got to the third level I kind of started making a couple of really stupid mistakes. But that's one of the good things about this game is a lot of mistakes made, for the most part, except for one, and I'll get to that one. A lot of the mistakes made, you do feel like it's your own fault. It doesn't feel entirely like it's the game's fault, like, you know, an unfair mechanic, or it's broken in some sense, except for one thing. Which I guess I'll just talk about partly. Yeah, I'll get into it right now. So, big new thing about this, if you've played a Donkey Kong Country game, basically what it is, it's a platformer starring the Donkey Kong gang, and Donkey Kong Country is known to be a slightly more difficult platformer than most people are used to by Nintendo. You know, you'll be more likely to die a few times, and stuff like that. If you've played Mario and then you go play Donkey Kong Country, you definitely notice there's a different spike in difficulty when it comes to the gameplay. And it's a good thing. I mean, you know, this day and age, difficult games that feel fair is a good thing. It's a fairly hard thing to come by in some cases. So it's always good to know that Nintendo has our back with the company that always does these games. I can never remember their name. Retro something? Point being, new thing in this game, though, is that essentially the other Kongs, I can't quite remember if it did in Donkey Kong Country Returns, might have with Diddy Kong, but the Kongs sort of act as like a power-up, essentially, for Donkey Kong, more so if you're playing it by yourself. Obviously, if you're playing with another person, it's, you know, the other person plays that, but they kind of act as a power-up. And, of course, Diddy Kong has his jetpacks ability, so like it gives you a bit more of a hover. And then you have Dixie Kong, who uses her hair as a propeller, so it kind of shoots you upwards. So like you could jump, and then you get like an extra boost of jump. It's a neat little thing. And then you got Cranky Kong. No one really knew what the hell Cranky Kong's big thing was going to be, because he's never been a playable character before. He essentially is Scrooge McDuck. He uses his cane as a pogo stick. And what's good about this is, one, it gives you a bit of an extra jump, or a bit of extra height when you use it. And two, you can traverse across like spikes or other kind of ground where you couldn't actually walk on because you get yourself hurt. And it actually works a lot like Scrooge McDuck's cane, more so from the NES version than the newer one, where you have to hit the button when it hits the ground kind of thing. So if you want to jump, you gotta hit it on the ground, then he uses it like a pogo stick. Big problem about this, though, is a lot of times it feels very finicky, like it chooses when it wants to work and when it doesn't want to work. I've had times where it's worked, like the first couple times I was using it, it was working, so I was like, okay, I got this, I know how it works. And then other times when I went to use it, it just didn't work. It just is like, it didn't work. And that's like the only exception that I'll give this game where it feels really unfair, and it's the fact that the pogo jumping just doesn't work 100% of the time when it should. Like, if you time it perfectly, if you do it right, it should work. but sometimes it just doesn't, and it's not good because there's a lot of points in the game where using Cranky Kong's McDuck pogo sticking abilities can be the difference between that 100% that you like or getting that extra bit of health or that balloon you could use or whatever. Or there's even levels where it's kind of a good asset to have, especially if it's needed. So, big problem, but you can easily get around it by trial and error or just kind of, doing it. But it's still a big problem. Beyond that, though, the game's good. It's on the Wii U, so you can play it on the gamepad, or you can play it on its TV. You use the Wii Pad, the Wii Pad. The gamepad. You could use the Wii modes. You could use the classic controller or the Pro controller, or whatever the hell they call it. So you got a lot of controller options. It's 2-player. Says here it has leaderboards. I haven't quite noticed that. I don't really care much about leaderboards, but there's your big thing you get for the online. No DLC, which I always hate talking about missed opportunities because I always find there's so many of those in games. But that's a big missed opportunity, is having a bit of DLC where you can bring in challenges or harder stages later on to get people more to come back, like a bit of a replay value than just trying to get all the secret levels, complete the game 100% kind of thing. So beyond that, nothing really else. Story-wise, this Arctic army comes in and invades Donkey Kong and his Kong friends, their island, and they get shot off to a different place, and their island gets frozen over. And you basically have to try and get back to that main island and reclaim your island. It's nothing big, it's nothing new. It just kind of progresses the story. I don't really expect a huge story arc from a Donkey Kong game. So, it works. Music's good. A lot of it is very reminiscent of Donkey Kong Country. If you ever play that, you'll get a couple of these interesting remixes that are hey, I remember that theme. That's from World 1 in Donkey Kong Country. But it's just slightly off in a sense. Now, here is the one complaint I have about the game, but I can't quite pinpoint why I have this complaint. And I hate freaking doing this, and I kind of held off on doing this until I could figure out what the hell was bugging me about this. But just something about this game feels so off that it kind of prevents me from really liking this game, other than Cranky Kong's McDuck's pogo sticking. But I play the game, and like I said, this game's good. Everything works except for pogo sticking. But just something about the game just feels very off to me, and I don't know exactly what it is. And the entire time playing it just bugged the shit out of me, because I'm playing it, I'm going, what the... There's something wrong with this game. I can't quite figure out what the hell it is. I even right now, I can't even figure out what it is, and that's why I'm just at least telling you that there's something about this game that bugs me. And for the life of me, I can't fucking figure it out. Yeah, it might have something to do with the controls, maybe just feeling slightly... Oh, no, definitely not that. Just, there's something about this game that bugs the flying fuck out of me, and I don't know what it is. Beyond the slight bugging and the pogo sticking, it's a fantastic game. If you played Donkey Kong Country Returns, or the 3D version, then you know what you're getting yourself into. This game does do a few things to make it a little bit easier for those of us who aren't quite good at this game, who aren't at that, I can beat Donkey Kong Country on the Super NES, no freaking problem, by adding in things like you can buy, extra 1-ups. 1-ups come pretty sparingly, which is a good thing, because you'll go through them pretty quickly. But there's also a couple other balloons to help you in the little shop that they have in the game, that you use your banana coins that you find throughout the level. And there's collectibles, so you get something to unlock. And there's enough replay value there to try and 100% the game, or find all the secret levels, or what have you, So yeah, with that all said and done, until next time, keep on gaming.